Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising.
Welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am your host, Misty Rosegold, International Success Coach. And today I have back with me for a third time, Geoff with SDR Ventures. Hi, Geoff.
Hi, Misty. Thanks for welcoming me back. It's really exciting to be here.
Yes, I'm excited for this conversation and any future conversations we have. It's so much fun to talk with you. So please tell the audience your name so I don't butcher it.
So I'm Geoff Eliason. I serve as CEO and principal of SDR Ventures. We're an investment bank located in Denver that's been serving business owners and entrepreneurs for 23 years now across the country.
Thank you. Appreciate it. One of these days I'm going to get it right, I promise. So today, my question for you is, what sets your M&A firm apart from the others?
Yeah. So first, let me just take a moment and recognize what M&A firms and investment banks do.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and then certainly get to your question as to what separates SDR and what makes us unique.
Love it.
So for your listeners, as just a refresher, or if this is your first time tuning in, an investment bank helps business owners of all sizes prepare their business for a sale, the sale itself, acquiring other companies, raising money or raising capital for their business. And then there's a few other things that the largest investment banks in the world do, like an initial public offering or an IPO of a company, or issuing bonds or raising debt for a company. All very, very common, but definitely reserved for the largest companies in the world and what's often viewed as Wall Street. But
Okay.
there are investment banks around the country that help business owners of all sizes, most commonly prepare their company to sell and then sell their business. Furthermore, SDR is dedicated to what's called the lower middle market. And these are companies that are valued anywhere from 5 million up to 100 million.
Okay.
Over 100 million is what the industry calls the middle market. And at times even 250 million. And so, Misty, your question, what makes SDR unique? And the way that I think about that, and truly our ethos, our DNA as an organization speaks to it.
Tell me about your, go ahead.
A stat that really challenges our group is that, believe it or not, 70% of business owners regret selling their company in the first year that they sell their business. We take that very seriously and very personally. What a tragedy
It
that
is.
you would represent a business owner in making the largest decision of their life to do nothing more than figuratively break all sorts of glass in their life for somebody else to be responsible for picking up, and leave that individual or family with nothing but regret, angst, bitterness, sorrow, remorse. And as someone that's leading the organization, we absolutely refuse to make that what we're about and make that our legacy that we leave behind this world with. And so that then brings me to, okay, well, what does that look in real terms? Well, to get to that place, you have to start peeling back the layers of the onion on what causes that regret. And a lot of times, what causes that regret are the characteristics and the attributes that you specifically work with business owners on overcoming. That's why myself and our team at SDR is so enthusiastic about who you are and what you do for business owners, because you help them get their mental and emotional and physical house in order, both personally and professionally, so that when we do step in to help them sell their business, their next season of life is one of fulfillment, purpose, intention, and significance, rather than either a slow or a fast decline to the finish line.
Well, thank you for your enthusiasm. I am just as equally enthusiastic about you and SDR, so I appreciate that it goes both ways. And it's interesting that you bring this up because I'm working with a new client that I started with yesterday
Mm,
that is dealing with, do I just walk away from my business? Do I try to sell my business? And I'm like, hold on, let's not make emotional decisions. Let's really dive in to figure out what you want. What are your limitations mentally? What are your limitations emotionally? What are you telling yourself? And is there a way to make it work? Because what I heard was all the ways that it couldn't work. And I said, I'm going to play a little bit of devil's advocate on the positive side of things. How could it potentially work? And this is what I want you thinking about, because I do not want you making a decision that you're going to regret down the road because you were fearful or emotional.
yep, it's true. Um, there are other characteristics that you're extremely impactful in preparing the business owner prior to the sale. And two of those are having your identity entirely based on the business.
Mhm.
And then additionally, whether it's a sense of or a vice grip of control
Mhm.
over every aspect of the business. And
100%.
on the other side of the sale, the less their identity was in that business and the more they were able to open their hands and relinquish control to the new owner, the more likely they're able to move on into that life of significance and purpose after the sale.
Well, just from my experience, if I get people into that space of letting go of control and delegating and all the things, if they get in that habit early on, it's going to be a lot easier when it's your turn to work with them on their exit.
And you know what else is interesting? When you think about what the buyer wants from that business, they don't want a business owner that has a vice grip and control over every single aspect
Mhm.
of the company. They want to see that they can pull that business owner out of the company
Mhm.
and insert the new ownership in and provide even more growth and even more opportunity. The more there is that what could be referred to as founder syndrome, or um, the owner has built a business around himself,
Mhm.
that is not attractive to buyers of businesses. And so again, uh, you know, we are, you do a masterful job in helping unwind that ball of twine, um, that business owners often grow into over 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Or start there. Some of
Yeah,
them start there.
some of them start there. But it feels good. It feels good to have this sense of identity every day.
Mm,
But the blessing becomes the curse.
definitely. And it's just the reality of what do you want to do with your business. So today I wanted to cover the perspective of the buyer. Like why the reason why I asked you what makes SDR special or what sets SDR apart from other M&A firms is because there's more to seeking out the right M&A specialist to help you sell your company. It's what kind of culture do they have? Is it a competitive culture where it's cutthroat? Is it a collaborative culture? This affects every part of your sell. It affects every part of the process. So you talked about your ethos a little bit, and I know the culture falls into that. And I'm very impressed with the culture that you have at SDR. So I would like you to share a little bit about that with the audience. What does your culture look like, and how does it differ from others that you've maybe seen in the same space as yours?
Yeah. So when we've had uh, folks outside SDR to comment on what they see and experience from SDR, whether clients or centers of influence, repeatedly we've been described as human.
That's awesome.
And that was such a great compliment for me
Mhm.
because tragically, Wall Street investment banking, painfully transactional. Most investment banks are so focused
Mhm.
on only getting the highest dollar amount for your business possible that they are absolutely tone deaf when it comes to the unique desires, needs, objectives, and priorities of that business owner and their entire family. And so, as an organization, we want to know and understand those things, but then also give you the ability to assemble a team around you, a team of experts that we're going to work with very directly, that are going to, in a very human way, know you, know your priorities, and then advocate for those priorities. And I'll give you a great example, Misty. We
Please.
had a scenario. The business owner was very, very charitably minded. Their goal was to sell the business and be able to give away a tremendous amount of the proceeds from the sale. Well, one of the strategies you can use to help minimize taxes, but also be very generous, is to take the time to gift ownership of the business before the sale
Ooh,
rather than after the sale.
okay.
And so 9.9 investment banks out of 10 would never bring that to the table. Why? Because it
Clearly.
takes time, it takes the attention off of the sale, and time kills deals, as the saying goes. And so no one in a transactional, ruthless world would
Mhm.
slow down enough to say, hey, what if we actually gifted part of the company before the sale to take advantage of the tax benefit? And this may slow things down, may even go on pause, but this could be the best thing for you and your family. And it could be what leads to that life of significance, which is what we
Mm.
want our legacy to be.
Wow.
Um,
That is so rich. And I'm not talking financially. Yes, it's financially rich, but it's so rich, like meaningful. I
yeah,
am,
I
I'm,
appreciate you saying that.
mm, I'm in awe. I'm wowed.
And then the other piece of it is, as we go through doing what we do, it takes, on average 9 months and 1,000 of our team's hours.
Mhm.
It takes 1,000 hours of time to perform this process of preparing a business to sell, taking it to market, finding the right buyer, creating a very competitive environment that is an auction, and then the due diligence that follows for the person or group that buys your company. And Misty, what happens in doing that is you end up creating, through optionality of who you want to work with, a 70% premium in the
Mm.
value of your company and what it gets sold for. So we emphasize selling it to the right group, maximizing value, and also fostering that team that surrounds you that is going to empower you for that next season. And those are the three things that really make us unique.
Well, I can speak to some of the team that you guys have outside of SDR, that you pull in other professionals. You've connected me with some of these professionals that you guys rely upon to make sure that the business owners get what they need. And every single person you've introduced me to is just like us. They're full of integrity. They have a bigger why. There's a bigger mission to why they're doing business. And they're really concerned about the welfare of the person and everything that comes into play with that. It's not just a transaction. So good on you for building such a great network.
I really appreciate that you reference each one of our personal why. And if I have one challenge to the audience, it's perhaps spend this week examining what is your why statement and really
Mm.
unpack that. And then does your time and your energy and your dollars, do they support that why statement? And one of the things I've shared, internally is if our why here at SDR as individuals and as an organization is to make money and spend money,
Mm.
uh, we're going to fall short pretty quick. That
Yeah.
that ride is only lasts for so long and it's only enjoyable for so long. There simply has to be more to the story and more to the mission
Mhm.
that allows us to really go the distance in terms of time, but also it's what motivates and inspires all of us to provide excellence for those that we serve.
Yes. And you guys are excellent. I am very grateful to be a part of your world and to have you as a part of mine. It's a very
It means a
special
lot.
find. Yeah.
I really
Uh,
appreciate that.
It's one of those once in a lifetime meetings. When we met each other, it's, just the incredible alignment that we have. And you guys bring such richness and depth to this process. And I know I do the same. And
Mhm.
it's so nice to be able to join our forces together in that way, and just our energy. It makes everything more powerful and more fulfilling for us and everybody that we come in contact with. So I really, really, really appreciate you guys. Um, Another question that I wanted to throw at you is, what industries do you typically work with so that people from the buyer's perspective can see themselves reaching out to you and having a conversation?
Yeah, you bet. So the we largely deal with all industries. But when you're talking about companies that are valued anywhere from 5 million up to 100 million,
Mhm.
you see some redundancy. And so quite a bit of manufacturing, industrial companies,
Okay.
residential services, professional services like CPA firms, wealth management, financial services. Um, we also have made a name for ourselves within the pet industry. So
Okay.
veterinary clinics, anything pet related, pet products.
Hmm.
Um, uh, further, uh, trucking, distribution,
Okay.
logistics, um, software as service, or SaaS companies. Um, so it really runs the gamut. What I would say we are not, um, would be companies that are pre-revenue, very heavy in intellectual property. Um, so certain types of technology, biotech, pharma. Um, and then lastly, we would not typically deal with highly specialized types of businesses like oil and gas,
Hmm.
would be very typical.
Okay.
Um, we do quite a bit of work with aerospace and defense as well.
Okay. Well, that's a good list of who you have worked with, will work with, and who you don't work with.
We've done a lot of work with food and beverage, agriculture, agribusiness.
Okay.
Um, I like to say, anytime someone thinks about the fabric of this country, um, middle America, um, that's who we deal with. You
Hmm.
know, someone that started a company providing a product or a service, put their head down and did the right things for each individual customer or client, and did that repeatedly day in and day out for 10, 20, 30, 40 years.
Hmm.
That's who we work with every single day.
That's incredible. So if somebody's potentially looking at buying a business through you or selling a business through you, now they have an actual list of, hey, okay, this rings a bell. I'm in this industry. So I'm very grateful that you shared this because the more information we put out there, the easier it is for us to get people to talk with you
Mhm.
and have the information that they need to exit their business successfully if that's what they plan on doing. And we have to plan ahead for that process. I know we cannot press this enough, but plan ahead. You're not going to sell your business overnight. Doesn't happen. You're not going to sell your house overnight. So you must plan ahead. And let's remind the audience, how long does it take from the planning stage to the actual exit stage? How many years does that take?
Yeah, Misty, this is something that surprises a lot of folks. So let this sink in. It takes 1 or 2 years to just get your house in order. People that buy businesses are professional investors. Oftentimes they're private equity companies, private equity funds, or very, very wealthy families that have what's called a family office. Um, and they have expectations on how you and we at SDR present the business to them. And that takes time to get that in order. Once that's in order, as I mentioned, it takes around nine to 12 months to actually sell the company. So about a year. And then here's the thing that surprises a lot of folks. More often than not, the business owner, or I'm sorry, the group acquiring your business wants you to stick around for 1 to 3 years. And so if you or your spouse have it in your mind that you're going to pull the ripcord and be done at a specific age, call it 65, um, you do not take that business to market when you're 64 or 65. You start having conversations, figuring out what do I need to do to make my business marketable and create options for myself in terms of buyers.
Mm.
Um, 2, 3 years out, then it takes a year to sell, and then it probably takes 1 to 3 years to transition.
So there it is, folks. It can take a long time. It's
Yeah,
not
4 to 7 years.
it's not a simple process. It's very detailed and start thinking ahead. please. And I see that it makes it more worth it for the business owner who put 20 years of blood, sweat, and tears into growing their baby. If you can partner and utilize SDR services, if you can utilize their services and get a greater ROI on the back end, it'll make it more worth it. Like you'll feel that what's the word I'm looking for, Geoff? The gratification and the fulfillment,
Gratification.
right? It's like it was all worth it. All the tears were worth it. All the sweat was worth it. All the bleeding that I did was worth it. All the risks that I took, all the sleepless nights, all the hours I put in, it's like it just makes it all worth it. So please do not let that part of your business journey fall flat.
Hmm.
Make sure you're seeking an expert in that space to just enrich and make it worth your while.
And finish well.
Yes.
Like you devoted, let alone a family devoted a lifetime
Mhm.
to this endeavor. Finish the race well, rather than feeling like you were beat up, beat down, um,
Mhm.
maybe taken advantage of. You need that team. You have got to have a team surrounding you.
So that was my encouragement to the gentleman yesterday, is I don't want you to have regrets from this. So let's figure out how to make it work and finish strong, if that's eventually what you want to do. But if what you're doing right now is not fulfilling you, we need to attach a greater purpose to it that is beyond yourself. Because
Yeah,
that purpose makes everything fulfilling no matter what you're doing. So just had that conversation yesterday. It's still ringing in my ears.
I'm not surprised though. I mean, it's a real challenge and a common refrain. It's a real challenge for the majority of business owners.
I think it might be a challenge for the population in general to think of creative solutions to make things work instead of just walking away when it becomes too difficult.
Yeah, that's interesting. I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
And that was my encouragement was, do you really want to walk away from this? Because there are other ways to figure this out. And
Hmm.
it's not like he has a failing business. He has a profitable business. It's just he's reached that point. He's reached a wall within himself and making decisions based on fear and trying to mitigate losses based on fear. And that's not always the best outcome. It's going to produce regret down the road. And I just don't want to see that for him. So it's really near and dear to my heart to see what I can do to help him find that clarity to make the right decisions moving forward. And then push him a little bit that says, hey, there are other ways. Let's find them. Get creative. Don't just give up when it's like too much. You know what I mean?
Um, yeah, it was so well said. Yeah, I can't agree with you more.
That's
And
good.
I guess I'm hesitating because I just see what you're describing so often.
Hmm.
And it's one of those scenarios that it takes courage. Um, but looking at ourselves in the mirror takes courage,
It does. And to push past that wall, you have to look in the mirror.
Yeah, you're right.
You have to look at the truth of your thoughts. Are they damaging? Are they destructive? Are they fear-based? Are you in fight or flight? Where are you making your decisions from? So, the biggest advice that I gave this gentleman was, I want you to be as fully present in the moment as possible. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to pull out one of my favorite methods, which I don't have to pull out very often, but it's fun to pull it out, is doing guided meditations so that we can find that present moment for him. So the past isn't pulling on him, the future isn't pulling on him, and he can have clarity of thought and clarity of decision. That's our goal right now.
That's amazing. That's powerful.
Hmm. Because then I know he's going to make the right decisions from that place, whatever those decisions are. And then he's going to be able to move forward having zero regrets. And that's what I want for him.
But it's interesting using the analogy of looking into the mirror. I think people in general, certainly business owners, struggle with slowing themselves down and quieting themselves
Mm-hmm.
enough
Mm-hmm.
to actually be able to listen. And for you to facilitate that is invaluable.
Yep. I love doing it.
I'm sure it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, suggesting it was uncomfortable, but he's game. So I started him off light with our Wealthy Mind app. I have guided meditations on there.
Okay,
And our next meeting, I'm going to take him through a personally guided meditation, which goes a lot deeper. And in that space, I have the knack of being able to help identify the subconscious blocks that could take weeks, months, or years because, again, the typical business owner and entrepreneur doesn't slow down to get quiet enough.
right.
So I provide that space in the guided meditation to help them get quiet enough to identify what's going on in the subconscious programming and to be able to shift it. So it's really powerful and it saves a lot of time. And some entrepreneurs and business owners will never go there on their own.
No,
So I'm not saving them years, I'm saving them like a lifetime.
no, the irony of it is they spend a lifetime creating noise to avoid
Yes.
the silence,
Uh,
figuratively and literally.
mhm. Yes. So I always tell people if you catch yourself in avoidant behavior, you're avoiding emotions.
Oh, wow. That's good. I haven't
Hmm.
heard that before.
Yep. So it's filters that I put in place, right? Because I have that self-awareness. If I catch myself in an avoidant behavior, I'm like, which emotion am I avoiding?
Yeah,
I do it to myself too. I lead by example. Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yep. So before we wrap up today, any thoughts, any closing thoughts based on our topics today of what sets SDR apart?
Misty, there's been so much depth to the conversation. I'm, grateful that we can, uh, quickly get to the heart um, of what business owners are up against, mentally, emotionally,
Hmm.
um, and help them. And so I just look forward to continuing to be a resource that is one that is true to who we are at SDR and who you are in helping and serving business owners.
Wonderful. Well, we will leave it there. And Geoff will be back soon. So we have another episode coming up with Geoff. So stay tuned, you guys. And again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being an outstanding human being and having a beacon of light in this corporate industry that we're in. So I appreciate it.
I appreciate that. It's a dark world.
It is, but you're a beacon of light, and I am so glad that I know you.
Likewise.
Thank you. Until next time, we will see you guys soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.